Hello and welcome, members of the Alhambra Unified School District, and thank you once again for joining us for a short interview featuring District 5 Monterey Park City Council candidate, Mr. Ngo. I'm Alex Gomez.
I'm Alexis Ramirez.
And I'm Ashley Chan. We're really grateful that you're here, Mr. Go, to join us today in this short interview.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to our Alhambra Unified students. I was the Keppel alumni as well.
Cool. And our first question for you, Mr. Go, is to tell us about yourself and your goals as a District 5 City Council candidate.
I am a long-term resident of Monterey Park. I've been here since 1979, so about 43 years in the community. I've been in this community for such a long time that I see a lot of needs, and part of my goal is to go fix the needs. A couple of things for Monterey Park City Council. Public safety is number one. I've been to a number of city forums in the last few months where every citizen who participated in these meetings, they got 3 tickets, and they got to put the 3 tickets into the areas of concern. Across the board in every one of these sessions, number one, public safety, right? So for me, public safety is number one. And when I talk about public safety, I'm talking about people safety, pedestrian safety, car safety, bike safety. And part of that encompasses on fixing roads, all that good stuff. Infrastructure safety includes buildings. For example, city buildings. Monterey Park City Hall is built in the 70s, so it is 40-something years old. And when things get old, they need repair. Little repairs here and there are bandages. You need to really do capital improvement. That is a term that they use for infrastructure improvement. So City Hall needs that. So that's my first thing. Safety for the city, for the pedestrians, for the improvements of the city, right? My second thing has to do with revitalizing what I call Monterey Park downtown. You may not know this as you're in Alhambra, but it's Pittston and Inez is defined as Monterey Park downtown. While in Monterey Park, we haven't done anything. It's looked the same in 25 years. Part of my goal is to revitalize and renovate that area so that that area brings in new businesses and attracts not only for local residents for a place of food or shopping, but also bring customers from outside the city, right, to eat here. Monterey Park is actually, as you may know, is known for like an eating capital in the world in terms of Chinese food. Bring new business in so they can support the local businesses and generate sales revenue so we can use that money to fix the stuff that I talked about, the buildings, the pools, the streets, the roads. That's number two. The third thing I like to do for the city of Monterey Park is I come from somewhat of a school background. I've been elected on the school board now for 4 years, but I got an extra year because of redistricting. So I've been serving the school board for 5 years. What I did on the school board is we did a $40 million bond to fix a lot of our old school buildings. Very similar to the city, except the school district, the Garvey School District, came around in 1925. It is the second oldest school district in the Southern California area. Only LAUSD is older. So we're very proud of that. Problem with that is that a lot of schools were built in the 20s, 30s, 40s. You do the math, it's older than many of us combined. That bond money is fixing the roofs, fixing the AC, resurfacing the road, doing the light fixtures, a lot of that stuff. So with that background, what I like to do is I know students graduate high school. Now, not every student is going to go that route. Some students are going to go to 2-year schools, JCs or community colleges, learn a trade. My other program for the city is to have a job or workforce program. So those are the 3 things. Public safety, redoing Monterey Park downtown, and a workforce program for the schools.
Thank you for your insight, Mr. Go. I really liked how you touched upon public safety. I definitely think that's one of the major issues today. Our next question is, what are the major issues you see in the Monterey Park community and schools in the coming 4 years?
three different issues. The first one is mental health. As we get through this pandemic, we understand that a lot of our students, a lot of our families, and many in our community are going through mental health issues. We're just reopening the door and getting acquainted and given the pandemic. Especially hard is the children in our community. It's the first time they're getting back in person. So mental health for the children, for the middle school kids, especially the 7th and 8th graders, mental health state, going from a smaller school where they knew everybody to a bigger school in the middle school, or in essence, from middle school to a high school, becoming a freshman. There's a lot of pressure to that. And in the community for the adults, there's pressure to that too, because some folks are now starting to go back to work full time. So instead of being behind a camera and behind Zoom and working at home, they're now tasked to go work in the office. Many employers have started implemented that for a few months now. The reality is now everybody's going back to work full time, 4 or 5 days a week out of 5 days work week. Some employees were used to helping with the parents in terms of being caretakers or helping their children by taking them to school, accustomed to watching them on Zoom, making sure they're okay. All that is now gone. In life, you can't really just flip a switch from 0 to 100 or 100 to 0. So mental health is the number one thing in the community. The second thing to me is economic mobility. And that, part of that goes into mental health, but economic mobility is such that during the pandemic, the government gave a lot of resources, gave some money to folks, the businesses, in the form of the PPP program for businesses. And for the employees, they got checks from the government as well. If you didn't have a job, now everyone is kind of asked to go back and get a job, go back to full time. And the reality is not everybody has agreed or accepted that. In fact, going back to earlier this year, there was a report that basically said for every capable employee, there were 2.5 or 2.6 jobs in the market, which is great for you, right? Fast forward, we're now looking into somewhat of a recession with the stock market and economy going down. There's now pressure of companies letting go of people. So one of the issues with our community in my part is the transitional work environment. You can call it economic mobility. In essence, is people, if you have the degree, if you have the background, the experience, you're able to get better paying jobs, career-oriented jobs. If you don't have the education, if you don't have the degrees, it is a lot tougher to get the job or to even find a job, a high-paying job. So what we need to do from our community, working with the school standpoint, is have what I call a three-prong approach. So in 2 or 3 years, so by the time a person reaches 21 years of age, 20, 21, 22, that group, you have either a trade in your hands that you can work. Now, granted, if you don't have a 4-year degree, your pay is going to be lower. But that's the reality because you didn't go to school, you didn't go to 4 years, you didn't go to 2 years. But you have skills necessary to survive in your life. The second thing is for the 2-year degree, you get paid and you can get to work. And then the third thing was the 4-year degree colleges, you're going to get paid. So you have either a $25,000 job, a $40,000 job, or $65,000 job, depending on where you are. But at least you have skills in your hand to be productive in the community. So that's the economic mobility standpoint. Train our community, train our youth so that they have the ability to move up economically and be successful in their life. Because if you don't have any of that, if you say everybody goes to 4-year college or none, you're going to have a lot of the population not being able to work. There's nothing to do. Okay. And the third thing for me, what's important in facing the city of Monterey Park and the school community is public safety. Public safety has always been around. If you ask people, what's your number one concern about public safety? Because if I'm not safe, I can't do anything. If I'm not safe in my house, if I'm not safe in my car, that's not safe. I want my family to be safe. So we need to be proactive in working with law enforcement,
working with the neighborhoods, making sure everyone knows the safety protocols, right? And public safety is not just about people walking, but also about our infrastructure, our buildings, our city hall buildings, our government buildings. Let's make sure that they're up to code. So that's public safety. So those are the kind of three things: mental health, economic mobility, and public safety. Very big picture, been around forever, but things that we need to continue to look at.
All right, so finally, what would you like to say to the students of Alhambra Unified School District?
What I really want to take away for Alhambra Unified students is be involved. The first thing you do that is register to vote when you turn 18. When you can register to vote, you have a voice. America, the United States, is founded on one basic principle. You have democracy because you have the voice to vote. And if you vote, you're going to be in a position to make your life, society better. So speak up, register to vote. If you see something you don't like, be vocal about it. Ask your friends, ask your community to help champion that cause. Because if you just lie down and do nothing, then you have to accept it, because that's going to be reality in the world. You need to be vocal and stand up and feel what you do, what you think is right, and fight for it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ngo, for joining us today, and good luck in the upcoming election.
Great. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.